With Directive 8020 bearing down on us like a shotgun full of snow, I think it's high time we ask the big question. With the developers going out of their way to embrace the Dark Pictures history by including costumes, whole models, really, from other games in the series, which ones are they going to be using? Obviously, we already know 3 of them because they've been featured in the marketing. Carter and Joseph will appear as Jason and Salim, including the iconic Remember 9/11 hat, but not including Salim's Iraqi army helmet. And Zoe will appear as Julia from Man of Medan. This is an interesting reveal because it lets us know that in addition to the 7 playable characters, the NPCs will also be getting classic outfits. But who will be dressed in what? Let's do some speculating, shall we? We'll start, obviously, with the easiest, Sam Cooper. Now, Asian Lady Model appeared in just 2 games in Season 1. The woman who runs the martial arts stall in Man of Medan. Fun fact about this stand. While later games in the series let you set the difficulty of QTs manually, and in fact they added it in a patch to Man of Medan later, originally Man of Medan set them based on how good you were at this minigame. So if, like most people, you were unable to hold your breath through the Olsen hallway sequence and wound up losing the rebreather so you couldn't save Junior, that's likely because you were trying to impress martial arts stall lady and get the trophy. Then she played the blogger at the end of Devil in Me, who's being invited to the new backup murder hotel. Certainly a less memorable character. Of course, we've also seen this model as Fliss in Hidden Agenda and one of the female soldiers in Bravo Team. But we were promised Dark Pictures models, so it's more than likely that we're going to be seeing her as the martial arts stall lady. Stafford is more of a conundrum because he has 2 very prominent appearances in the first season. Old Vince from Little Hope, and of course, Olsen from Man of Medan. Now, watching Goop Stafford go nuts with the shock stick was already giving me Olsen Sledgehammer flashbacks. So that would definitely be fun. But it could be just as interesting watching old Vince making wild accusations at people. Technically, they could also drop in Balathu from House of Ashes, but I think that's the least likely option. Odds are, we're going to be seeing Olsen for this costume, which will be interesting because we're going to be playing as a villain from a previous game. Speaking of playing as a villain, here's Laura, by which I mean, maybe we'll get to play the whole game as a vampire Clarice? I know that this is definitely not happening, but don't you kind of want to see this sequence of them standing around the ship's command center interactive table, but it's vampire Clarice explaining where they have to go? That would be amazing. But let's consider the likeliest options. She was the pinup girl in Medan, Taylor, Tanya, and Tabitha in Little Hope, Michelle from Devil in Me, although there the only time we see her is as a severed head, and maybe most prominently, Belial from Switchback. Gotta say, Belial hanging out on the ship would almost be as good as Vampire Clarice, but we're definitely not getting that either. I think it's safe to say that the likeliest model choice is also her meatiest role from Season 1, Taylor from Little Hope. Fun fact, Vampire Clarice has already appeared in another game, beyond Switchback, of course. She's a DLC villain in Dark Deception, a terrible multiplayer maze game. And if Laura is going to be Taylor, it's a pretty safe bet that Noah is going to be Daniel, right? It's not like there aren't a bunch of good options for him. We could get Joey from House of Ashes, or Zombie Joey. It could be fun watching someone walk around a spaceship in a terrible H.H. Holmes TV actor costume. But if we're assuming that we're going to be having a Taylor in the game, the odds of there being a Daniel there to make up the set are really good. Damn. It's really too bad there's not a Dar model in the game, because we could have had Dumet running away from a bunch of mold people. Sims is, of course, the easiest to predict, because she was a new model for the Devil in Me, and was not in Switchback, which means we're guaranteed some more Aaron content. Lamarcus is one of the harder ones to predict because there's so many good options. Young Vince, Junior, Karum, Mark. Any one of these would be a great choice, as they're all memorable characters. But my best guess is that we're going to be seeing Mark from the Devil in Me. Obviously, Mark got the most screen time for the model, being the least killable person in the game. Literally, the only guy who's guaranteed to make it to the last chapter is Mark. I think Mark made the greatest impact in Season 1, so that's probably who he's going to be. Now, there's 10 characters in total. We already know what 3 of them are going to be. And of course, Young won't have a retro model because it's not like they've used Lashana Lynch's image in the past. If these guesses are correct, it's a nice mix because we're going to be getting 2 from 3 of the games and 3 from Man of Medan. If there were only 8 characters to give models to, we could have had a fun thing where there's 2 characters from each game. But there's an odd number, so one of the games is guaranteed to be more represented than the others. So those are my slightly educated guesses. Who would you like to see show up as alternate models? If this becomes a regular thing, there's plenty of interesting places they could go with it. Any chance we could see inpatient characters at some point? Or does Sony have a claim on those model versions? Hopefully we'll find out soon. For now, though, I've been the Hidden Object Guru. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time and you'd like to see more, there's buttons coming up to help with that. Questions and suggestions go in the comments section below the video. Play my game, Clown in the Woods, at itch.io. It's a champagne jam. We're going to see you back here for more 80/20 as more news arises. But until then, I'll say that's right. Au revoir.